That was well timed, wasn't it? There we go.
It was well timed. It is a pink MacBook Air, which you can see hiding in the corner. So, hello everyone, we're back again with our weekly view from the clouds. And if you've got any questions, just drop them into the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. But it's been a fun week. I think there should be a couple of questions because there's been expansion, Samsung, gaming hub. What else has there been? There's been a fair.
Yeah, there does. We've had new Xbox Game Pass games for July.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of the bits that are materialising. Obviously not cloud related, but we know when God of War's coming.
Yes, you've got your PlayStation Plus games as well, and one of them streamable. I know this because I was doing a video yesterday about 50 million times, and it didn't record, and I kept on saying that. And yeah, what else has there been? Oh, there's been a fair bit. But what have you been up to, young Barry?
So apart from work, I've been to Silverstone for the weekend for the Grand Prix. And then I've done some more work, and a little bit of gaming. But it's definitely been on the lighter end of the scale in comparison to normal for me, gaming-wise, because I feel like work's taking over my life a little bit at the moment. How about yourself?
I'm hoping I did things right there. Yeah, it has been fun. It's been an interesting game week. I have got into the bad thing again, which we're not going to talk about. And I have been playing
some on the dailies.
Yes.
Have you been on the dailies again? We've had words about this.
Yes, I've been back on playing daily Slay the Spires. Yes, I've fallen into that again. What I've actually been doing is for a video which should be coming tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about the Humble Bundle games this week, or this month's Humble Bundle choice games. Absolutely having a load of fun on. I forget the name of the game.
Hired Gun Necromunda.
Yeah, that's the one there. You can pick that up for £9, or is it £9, $10 a month, and you get access to the games. All but one of the games are not on GFN, and that game is buggy as anything. There is still bugs in it, but it has got a serious hook in it, and you can have an absolute blast. It reminds me, and that's a weird sort of combination of Doom mixed with Titanfall, because you've got the running on the sides and stuff like that.
I feel like I'm sold.
Yes. So it is a lot of fun, and it is well worth playing, and I think that just pays for it straight away anyway. So, got our first question here.
Oh, sorry, hang on.
What?
I'll take it away. I'm pushing buttons.
No,
you pushing buttons.
Oh, I was good. Leave stops me doing it. So, Steam Deck use its processing now in order state. I'm sticking with your advice, Duncan. So it should be on its way very soon. You are going to have an absolute blast with the Steam Deck. It is absolutely class, and if it goes hand in hand with any of your PC cloud gaming services, be that GFN or Boosteroid or Shadow or anything like that. You play it on the go on that, and then jump into the full screen when you want to. It's absolutely class.
We don't talk about Steam Deck.
We don't talk about Steam Deck, no.
I still got another 3 months to go.
Yes, it should be faster now. I think it will get quicker than you think, because they've doubled the production.
Hopefully.
Zero games for me. I resubbed to Stadia Pro, but don't please tell anyone. We won't tell anybody, Zero, that you resubbed.
No.
Well, I have to say this: the games were not for me. The only one which was maybe up my alley was Roguebook. Was it Roguebook? Yeah, Roguebook.
Yeah.
But if you bring the games, people will sub. The one that actually surprised me, and I haven't checked. Last time I checked, it was top 50. It was Centipede on Stadia Pro. I was top 50 in the world with the.
Blimey.
Yeah, so I was on there, and yeah, it's surprisingly pretty decent. And I know you can play it on your mobile phone anyway because there's a mobile version, but it's good to see that. But I think a lot of people are probably subbing for Stadia Pro for Five Nights at Freddy's because I think that is the big game.
Yeah, and I think you took a look at that last week, didn't you? Did you have fun with it?
I didn't have to do that. It was Maker.
Is that Maker that did it in the end? I was going to say,
yes.
I wasn't sure because I know that you're not a fan of the scary genre.
I like Resident Evils, but I wouldn't go out there and.
You like Resident Evil?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've only seen you play like scary things once or twice, and you screamed like a girl.
I know. But it was actually Resident Evil. Trying to get the right one. 7 what got me into it. Not Village, the one.
Oh, the Biohazard, the one with the creepy house with the dudes.
Yes,
that's the weird family. Yeah. Yeah,
where it was actually more psychological than actually scary, which I really liked. I haven't actually played Village yet, but we'll talk about that. It's on my massive pile to actually go and play. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I'm selling the Switch OLED to help fund it. As Barry says, it was a torrent comparison, or it was me. It just feels. It's still a great device. It is still really good, but it just feels like a kid's toy compared to the Steam Deck, and you just feel like you're going to break it or something when I go between the two.
I know what you mean. Having now seen and held a Steam Deck, there's definitely a sturdiness and a quality to it. You pick up a Switch and you do notice the difference. But
yeah,
everybody loves their Switch, don't they?
They do. Everybody likes a Switch because they've got the games that you want to play. So it's all great like that. But have you been good with the Steam
Have I
sale?
been good with the Steam sale? I have, but I'm about to not be. So, so I noticed the other week, and it's a shame that they're not available on cloud. So forgive me for talking about games that are not playable in the cloud. But a lot of the Lego franchises are like £2-3. So there's like the Lord of the Rings one, the Batman one, Hobbit, Harry Potter, 5 to 7, 1 to whatever. They're all like £2-3, and I'm just like, do you know what? Bang them in my library. I want them in the collection, because if those games ever make it to the cloud, then I'll be ecstatic. But if they don't, I'll know that I can play. I've got somewhere to play them.
Yeah, the Steam sale has been very dangerous. I have resisted somewhat. I did get some games, but not that many. What games did I actually get?
Oh no, I don't. Do you know what? I might even stand corrected. I don't even think I've held firm for this long. I think I'm pretty much. I actually think that I made a purchase recently. Oh, I did Castlevania, but I think we talked about that last week. Actually, I bought the anniversary edition of Castlevania. Did I buy anything else? Have I bought? I don't know. I don't know whether I did actually.
I can tell you what games I bought. I bought a Zombie Army 3 trilogy, which is available on GFN. I also haven't actually played this as yet. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 HD edition, which is also available on GFN, and I'm looking forward to actually getting stuck into them because old school. Yes, I'm old, and I just want to go and have a look at that. See, Stadia is making some waves here. We've got a couple of Stadia things here. As my
There we go.
as my chair decides to creak and decide to do all that. Happy saying about Five Nights at Freddy's is actually drawn into Stadia. That's absolutely great. It is a game which will draw people across. It's a big game of the month, and it's got people excited, and people may actually go and play it.
Yep.
I think it was a decent Stadia month but for me personally, it isn't one for me. But I can see how it's actually pretty decent for a lot of people, and I have claimed all the games anyway.
Oh, you've gone all robot-like on us.
Have I?
Yep.
Oh, lovely.
Now we can't even see you. Oh, no, you're back. There we go.
I know what's happened.
Have you broke something? Did you push a button again?
It decided to go to the wrong microphone. Is that better?
That is... I think that's better.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah. That sounds better.
Yes.
You sound clearer.
Yes, it was going to the wrong microphone. I don't know what was going on. And Barry has decided to disappear. So, yeah. Shadow Dark... it was saying about I bought games on Steam that I have in Stadia and finished for Stadia. Assassin's Creed Unity, for example, you can't start a new game. I'm going to be honest with you. I had the same not the same problem, but a similar issue with some games on Stadia. That was another Assassin's Creed game, and that was Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That gave me what could be called like if you're playing VR, you get motion sick if you don't play in VR for a bit. And Assassin's Creed Syndicate on Stadia gives me that because it's 30 FPS and it's very, very ropey. It is really poor. So I had to get it somewhere else and replay it somewhere else. You look like you want to say something.
I remembered what I bought.
What did you buy?
Lost Words Beyond the Page.
I know, because we talked about something about that. I just remembered.
Yeah. We did. But I bought the, we'll call it the Super Duper edition, but it was the one that came with the soundtrack. No surprises. I love a soundtrack, so I had the one that came with the soundtrack. Picked it up for £3.22. Which, considering I have segued here, so don't worry about it. I'm bringing back to the point. I actually originally played Lost Words on Stadia, and I absolutely loved it as a game, and it just goes to show that I had, Stadia gave me that experience with it, and that game gave me that experience. I've gone and bought it so I can play it elsewhere, and I'm looking forward to playing it on GFN.
Cool. Got a question from Happy, but we'll come to it in a... Actually, we'll come to it now. Hogwarts Legacy can be pre-ordered on Epic. Can we see this join GeForce Now? What do we think?
I mean, I don't want to default to the standard answer of... At points, I feel like we can't rule much out sometimes with GFN because they do pull surprises. But I do feel like I'd be surprised if we seen Hogwarts Legacy on GFN at launch. I'd be very surprised by it.
I would be very surprised as well. I'm going to say no. If you're looking to buy Hogwarts Legacy to play on GFN, I think you're going to be out from luck at this moment in time because of the publisher. Publisher are beating to their own drum we don't even know what drum it is at this moment in time, since they pulled their game from AT&T, even though they're sort of together. Batman getting pulled from their service there. But it is really, really weird, and no, I do not see Hogwarts Legacy joining Epic or joining GFM for the foreseeable future, even though I really, really wanted to join.
Yeah, it's another one of those games that I think. Obviously, I know you and Kelly are huge Harry Potter fans. You know, as am I. I love it. It's brilliant. And I think we both know that it's up there to be played. We both know that we'll play it. I think for us, it's a case of where it is. We prefer to play it in the cloud, without a doubt. But obviously, it's one of those games that, you know, you'll go and you'll play it where it's available, effectively.
Yeah,
it's got that draw as a title, as a franchise. It will draw you to play it wherever it's free.
Yeah, I want it on GFM. Because that's where I would play it 100%. But no, it's not going to.
I am going to throw a curveball though and say that I wouldn't be surprised. Possibly, I'm going to say possibly, if we've seen it end up tied into a subscription somewhere.
If it's going to be anywhere, it'd be PlayStation, because I've got the marketing rights to that.
Yep.
So that could be one, because we do think we're edging closer to Batman going on. That's not Batman. What's it called? Arkham Knights.
Gotham Knights.
Oh, Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights. I was close. It was ballpark. Gotham Knights dropping on the Game Pass. I think that is a real possibility, because of them missing a big AAA game. Because as the aforementioned God of War, Ragnarok, I'm pre-ordering that, and I think I might be pre-ordering the Super Duper edition. Or do the actual physical ones, because they're actually doing what I want them to do. What I've been calling for people to do for a while, they're actually doing. If you order the collector's edition, instead of giving you the disc, they're giving you a digital code for the game.
Ah, okay.
So you can then order that and then get and play it, because I've got the discless version, so that's why I really want that sort of stuff, and I actually want that for other sort of stuff as well. So yeah. Pretty cool here.
Excellent.
Well, I seen a question here. What you get with us is honesty. It gets us into trouble, but you'll get it. Do you use streaming apps on deck, such as GFN? If so, what's your experience when streaming? Yes, I have tried it. I ain't streaming on the Steam Deck. It's. I know that sounds bad. This is going to sound completely and utterly weird, but when you get your hands onto it, I think you'll understand why. Games run better natively on the Steam Deck. They just look better, and you can tune it to the way you want it. Even if you've got the 3080 on your Steam Deck, it sounds really bad, but the local version looks better because the screen's not tailored for that. So you could be pushing it really. It's better to actually play the games locally on deck, and then go to when you want it in the bigger screen and move on to that.
I mean, obviously, I can't comment because I've not tried it. So
yeah,
and I'm not bitter at all. And I did check my date's not moved any just yet. So, but I will be. I check it every week, at least twice. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a question. There are fears from gamers that games on Boosteroid will be pulled. Do you have any insight into that? I'm going to say what you see is what you get from us. So there's no things. Do you want me to answer this first, or do you want to answer that?
No, you go first.
I think there's a fair chance that games will get pulled from Boosteroid. I think it's going to be the similar situation as GFM. if we're going to be completely and utterly honest. And I think it's already happened with some games that have been pulled months and months ago. Wasn't it the Microsoft games were pulled?
I think it was some of them, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what you're going to get with any of these sort of ones like GFN and Boosteroid. I think there's always the possibility of the games being pulled. What I like with GFN in that regard is the new contract and the new box they've got, just like what's happened with God of War. It has now been pulled from the service, but you can still play it if you've played it before it was pulled, and I like that. So that is my feeling on that.
Yeah, and I think, we don't differ, really, in that respect. I think it's something that we almost need to get used to in that cloud gaming space. I think it's something that's probably, in part, going to become an element of normality. How it's about then how the platform holders deal with it. Like you're obviously talking about what GFN have done there with God of War. The element to that is going to be in how they satisfy the situation and how they pacify the consumer when or the gamer, as to if it happens, how they deal with it, what's the message, and then how long does it take for gamers to get into the mindset of realizing that actually, a bit like Game Pass, games go in and they come out, they go in and they come out. That sort of thing's possibly going to be normality, I think, across cloud.
Yeah. The only thing what will save you is a store. If you can buy the game will more than likely stay there unless the service completely and utterly shuts down. Like we're seeing this year with Magenta Gaming, because that shut down and people got lost all their sort of stuff there. So yeah, I would not be surprised if games move from Boosteroid. It is something to keep an eye on going forward. I'm not concerned in the immediate future, but maybe a bit further down the line if it blows up.
Yeah, definitely.
If Hogwarts doesn't show up in GFN, do you see it coming to Boosteroid? Boosteroid, I wouldn't really like going to Boosteroid at this moment in time.
No, definitely not. I don't think you can. There's probably a couple of services that you could say, actually, I could see it going there. And yeah, I wouldn't rule Boosteroid out at all for that popping up on there.
And I mean, absolutely stupid. We will be able to play it, or maybe not 100%, but there's a fair chance we'll be able to play this in the cloud later on this year, because we keep on forgetting the big major one, which is Xbox. With xCloud, we're going to have the storefront on Xbox, so you'll be able to just jump in there, buy the games there, whatever games come along, and do it there. Again, I think the selection is going to be small to start off with, but I think there's going to be a couple of big games there. Shall I put my neck out in the line or not?
Go on.
Should we say Call of Duty? The sign up Call of Duty to play in the cloud. If the deal doesn't go through, because we know there's another wrinkle in that deal happened today, because the UK are pulling in Activision and Microsoft in about competition.
Yep,
so
there's multiple people scrutinising that now. It's not just US.
Yeah, so that might not go through, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of big massive games available to buy and play on xCloud later this year.
Yep.
Let's
see.
That's
a good shout.
Is there any? Let me see. Oh, Shadow Dark xCloud works absolutely fine on it, so you can just jump into xCloud. What the Steam Deck has done to me, and I've said this about with GFN and Boosteroid and other things as well, more GFN, is they have got me into being a PC gamer. And I am shifting away from consoles slowly but surely because of it. Yes. But what PlayStation has and what Nintendo has as well. It's the exclusives, which I am playing on there, like Returnal. But we don't go into that. Which I'm rubbish at.
At least you've started it. That's
yeah. I'm just getting so far in it, and I just keep on down.
It's good fun though. It looks pristine as well. I can see why it got as much of the praise that it did. Mm-hmm. If I'm on it, you can see it, straight away.
Yes. Just see. Thanks, Eddie, for jumping in. Thank you for going there. Thanks to Fided and Extra Costs as well for joining us. Let's see.
I was just looking actually because I noticed Vet said that Boosteroid have they've added some new games, which they have indeed.
Well, what games have they added?
We've got Starship Troopers, Bard Trauma, Risk of Rain 2, Nuata, Titanfall 2, although that's currently in maintenance, Tales of Arise. Then they've added 4 Yakuza games. So there's Yakuza 2, Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see the other two, but there's another 2 there, but I can't. One of the other ones is in maintenance as well. Then you've got Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain, and then you've got Raft and Celasta. Look like the last ones. That's in the new section as to what's been added.
Cool. So. Everybody, just drop your questions and we will get to them. So. Keep them going. Boosteroid removed Shadow of War. Why? I would probably just say that the publisher asked them to remove him.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, it's Boosteroid. Seem very startup. If that makes, and they're reacting very. They're reacting very quick to different bits and bobs.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to, I think they've tried not to make too much noise, and I think in the past 2 weeks, shall we say, I think they've made some noise with their intentions, and then obviously there's been a few games that have kind of raised people's eyebrows as well, where you kind of look at the games that are dropping on the service and you're thinking, how the hell?
How they actually pulling all these games off and bring them on. Yeah, so it's really interesting, and yeah, I just think the publisher has asked them to remove it. And next one is, what is the Stadia expansion? Stadia are going into Mexico. Yeah, along with Boosteroid announced with us they were going into Mexico as well. So it's absolutely great to see that. During that announcement, they actually said immersive stream is going there as well. So I think from now on, Stadia and immersive stream, for good and for bad, for me more bad, are linked. Which I don't really want them to be linked. I want them to be completely separate, like we're seeing with the other platforms like there. So,
yeah.
So with no dates of when it's going to happen, it's just going to happen later this year. So I'm hoping that's sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be great to get it into that that region as soon as they possibly can. And yet you kind of look at. You touched on Boosteroid announcing it, Stadia have announced it. You're kind of almost looking at it thinking, well, it's who's going to get there first, who's going to have the most success with it. And like you say, I think I don't necessarily think it's... I understand the logic in it, in kind of saying, do you know what, Stadia's going here, immersive stream's going to be available here. I totally get it. Because in theory... we know that effectively but the way they're viewing it, the way they're pitching it. Of course, immersive stream is what powers Stadia. They're just obviously kind of putting that spin on it now. So you'd kind of say, well, actually, if one service can exist, so can the other. Obviously, I think personally, it probably raises maybe a couple of more questions in that respect. What is the intention? Is it a case of seeing whether they get more uptake from one over the other in that region? But it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, there's so many different countries which people want to hit. Mexico, Brazil, India, and Australia seem to be the biggie sort of countries where people want expansion. For monetary reasons, for Australia and Brazil and Mexico and India, just due to the whole size of it.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's the nice thing is as well is, and obviously I know Eddie was in the chat earlier, and he's, I think in multiple times he's spoken about it and said, actually, do you know what, these services in these regions are are good things, because consoles are super expensive, which of course means that gaming is, the barrier and that hurdle in the entry into those regions is lowered, which means we've got more people gaming, which is the positive. There's people there that clearly have got an appetite and a passion for gaming and want to get into it, and actually what we're doing is opening the door to cloud gaming. So you're not just making gaming more accessible, you're also saying here's the future of gaming and it's available, and that's brilliant.
Yep, and what I want the next step is, we've sort of seen it with some of the games which have came to the different platforms, is I want to see the next generation of game makers out there and bringing us new stories, new experiences. Whereas I'm pretty sure when the gaming goes into all these other sort of countries which haven't really been big AAA sort of game, or they've been more mobile gamers, and they can actually see the full console PC game sort of experience, what they're going to bring with the cloud. It should bring them the tools to do that.
Yeah, and that's a really great shout, because as you say, there's going to be some creations there that technology is possibly going to enable that have not been able to be achieved before. And there's right across the world, there's a huge, immense talent pool for people to be able to put together some fantastic games. And I think when you've got some of those tools for developing in the cloud, possibilities, mindsets, and capabilities just start to widen. That horizon completely widens, and in that respect, and you end up with some different experiences and people trying something and trying to bring something new and different, rather than just bringing the same old game that we're accustomed to picking up and playing.
Yep, and that's what one of the things I'm really excited for. So I don't think we need to do that. Is Boosteroid a good service for streaming for Elden Ring? Yes, it works. It works well. It's 1080 there. There is a video on the channel from before we took ownership of it, so I'm not 100% on that, but I think it runs pretty well from my recollection, because I haven't played Elden Ring for reasons which we know, which I do want to play.
Just got to do it, man. Tear that band-aid off and just do it.
Yes.
I haven't tried Elden Ring and Boosteroid as yet. I mean, obviously, it got a bit of a rap for its PC performance when it first launched, anyway. So, but they've done patches, they've done releases which have kind of moved on to improve that, which is good. But I mean, from the perspective of the fact that you've got a 1080-60 locked, good stream rate, I shouldn't see any issues or any problems with it.
Yeah, it's go and try it. I think it's still half price at this moment in time.
Yes, yeah, it was, but it was still there on the page when I just went to log in. So
Yeah, it's you can go try it for half price if you've got it on there. What I recommend if you want to try any of these cloud gaming services, and is don't spend a ton of money until you've actually experienced it. Don't go and buy Elden Ring on Steam and then go on to Boosteroid to try it then. If you want to do something, go on to Boosteroid, sign up for a month, play some of their free-to-play games, or your free games which you get with Epic each week, something along them lines. That's the same for GFN. I recommend people do not go for the free if they... I know some people can't afford the monthly cost even for the priority, but if you can afford it, sign up for 1 month of the priority tier and just experience the services the way that you really should be experiences. That's the same as Stadia as well. I know you can just buy your games, but pay for the extra to get the 4K if you've got a 4K screen, just to see how good these services can actually be when you play them, or platforms. Since I get shouted at, services and platforms is just so interchangeable for me. It's unreal.
Yeah, no, it is. It is indeed.
But that's what I would advise. Just sign up for a month, give it a whirl, play some of the free games if you like it, then start doing that. That's how I started with GFN. It was started on the priority tier, and then just that became my favorite way to play in the cloud.
Yeah, no, it did, and it gets. I think it becomes very easy, doesn't it? I think once you get into it, and once you get accustomed to and wrap your head around the fact you're playing in the cloud, see how easy it is, connect your libraries in, depending on obviously where you're playing, it just becomes a more natural progression. For kind of enjoying gaming in the cloud.
Yeah, and Epic is just brand. I know people hate Epic, and because of their business practices, which they are shouting at other people for their business practices, even though they're doing exactly the same thing. But we don't go into that. Go claim the free games on there, and then you've got your choice of all your different PC sort of ways to play.
Yep.
Let me see. Happy saying he thinks that mouse and keyboard support is becoming due to the Activision Blizzard news. What do you think?
I'll be honest, I don't think there's a correlation between the two. I mean, whilst there are definitely games in that catalogue from that area when if that acquisition goes through, don't think it's necessarily going to be it's not the primary driver, in my opinion, because you will have people that will want to play Halo with keyboard and mouse. You'll people that want to play Flight Sim in the cloud, Age of Empires, if they did Humankind. Although there's a multitude of games that they've got in Game Pass for PC, that they could put into the cloud that warrants them saying, here's keyboard and mouse, go and enjoy. And that's just focusing on some of those games. The other side of it is the fact you've got gamers that just flat out want to play keyboard and mouse because that's their preference.
I'm in agreement with you there. I don't think it's anything to do with Blizzard Activision at all, because there was talk about keyboard and mouse coming for a long time, because they were on record as saying that they want to bring PC games on the xCloud. PC games require, I'm not going to lift up my Apple keyboard and mouse because I got laughed at, but they require keyboard and mouse.
Apple keyboard and mouse. There's nothing magic about that, I'm telling you.
Oh. Yeah, it's awful for gaming with, absolutely awful, and the mouse is even worse. If you're having to do right click, it's a pain in the backside. But I can play all my PC games on my Mac if I'm not on the. But yeah, it's more due to the expansion, I think. If you want to play with keyboard and mouse now, you can check out the video on our channel.
Yes. Yeah, we've got a video for WASD.
Yeah.
So check it out on how you can do that if you don't want to wait until they officially bake it into xCloud.
Is Boosteroid the best gaming service? I consider using it, but I'm not sure if it's reliable. Do you want to go first?
I think it's difficult because I think we are. I think we might have spoken about this a couple of weeks ago. I think, and I know it's something that actually Vlad alluded to when he was talking to you actually about how the gaming space is going through an evolution similar to what we've had with video based content. And I think if we look at how we consume video, as much as probably people don't want to admit it, we've probably got Prime, we've got Netflix, we've got Disney Plus, we've got Apple TV, we might have Paramount Plus, you might have HBO Max. There's a multitude of things that are kind of consumed there because they all offer a piece of content or something different to what somebody else does within the market. So in terms of would I label kind of Boosteroid the best service for cloud gaming, it's going to deliver a catalogue which is different to some other cloud providers, but I wouldn't outright say that you're going to have, if the catalogue there is something that is attractive to you and you want to play, then absolutely it ticks the box as being the best option that's available for you. But then equally, you could then do, if you're in the US, then you could look at Luna and you might say, actually, that catalogue suits me better, or Stadia, and you could do the same for GFN. There's different pockets that I think people are going to put in. If you're looking at sheer performance right now, as it stands, then you're going to say, hands down, GFN with a 3080 tier will deliver the best performance in terms of games. So, if you want to absolutely max it out at either 1440, 120, 4K 60, you're not going to do it to the same degree or the same level at the moment through any other platform. So that there's kind of nuances between each of them that will tick boxes. So it's going to be very much personal preference. But if you game in 1080 and you want a good solid 1080-60 and the library that is available on Boosteroid, absolutely, it ticks that box. It's dependent on what suits your needs.
Yes, it's about it's about the games, and that's it all comes down to. There is not one good cloud platform. There is no best cloud platform out there. It is mix and match to which one suits you the best, and it all just comes down to the games. If you're just looking 100% performance. For me, the closest one to being the best, if you just want to go, is GFM, because it's got most of the games I want to play along with the best performance. But it doesn't have all the games I want to play. And that is the problem, no matter which platform you play on, is nobody has it 100% there. And that's before you get into the exclusive sort of game market. If you're just talking about game library, for me, the best game library out there by far, or have even went by far, is PlayStation. It's PlayStation. Absolutely brilliant. And the cloud gaming and that is better than people actually realize. It is working pretty well for me, and they've got a good selection of games, and if you play on the PC it does the upscaling as well, but every single one has their pros and their cons.
The PC upscaling is only if you've got an NVIDIA GPU, isn't it? It's not anything. I was just making sure they hadn't made any changes that I'd missed.
But the problem with the PlayStation 1 is it's so limited. It's limited compared to all the other ones out there. It's PCs. I can't play it on the Mac, but I can play it on the PlayStation or on the PC. It's really hard to actually nail down the best one because they're all different and all serving different people, bar one, which I'm not going to go into because I don't
Indeed.
know which one they're handling. But Boosteroid, it's decent. It is pretty good. We've got the big upgrades coming, and I'm speaking to them tomorrow.
Yeah, it is tomorrow.
Yes, I'm speaking to them tomorrow again, and I've already know some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about, and it's very, very interesting. And again, it's not going to appeal to everybody, but it's going to appeal to some people because it's really quite cool.
Indeed, and that line. Do you know what? Actually, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to spin it the other way around. And when can we see your follow-up interview with Vlad on the channel?
I can't remember when did we say Monday.
I thought it was Monday, and I thought I'm going to flip it and ask you the question, just in case I got it wrong. But yeah, that's fine. We're both saying the same thing, so we're good.
We will. We're going to post it on Monday. We might premiere it again as well for a bit of crack.
Yep.
So
why not?
It's going to be a bit of fun. Let me see.
You know what? We'll go with Colm. Good evening, Colm. Thanks for jumping in. Good to see you as always. Is it too late for Stadia to do a hard reboot?
The answer is... Oh, you want me to go first? Okay.
I presumed you were going to go first anyway, so...
No, it's not. But they have got so much to actually do to actually pull people back in if they're going to do a hard reboot. And that's the big... There's some indie developers absolutely love Stadia. Stadia Pro has worked really well for them. But there is people on Stadia who have lost money bringing their games to Stadia. And what they did last year with the shutting down of Stadia Games and Entertainment and the follow-up reducing the money to different studios for making games has upset some people. And we can see this nearly on a daily basis that DLC isn't coming to Stadia. This is just games which are on the platform are not getting DLC. For Stadia to have a hard reboot, it means Google have had a complete change of thought, and they are going to back them and invest into Stadia. And it could happen. We've seen that with Xbox. Xbox were so close to being sold off, and it just flipped. And now look at them.
I think that's the thing. I think anybody would... Got to be careful how I word this. Is it too late to do a hard reboot? No. Is the window narrowing? Quite possibly, yes. And I think that's the thing that probably people want to track and want to watch. I mean, obviously, if you've got no interest in following the journey of it as a service and you just want to play games, then obviously that's, what I'm about to say is not going to be applicable. But if you've got an interest in following to see what happens with it and understanding what's kind of moving, the window is narrowing. And the interesting thing to watch now is as they go through, we know that they're they're due to bring another 100 games to the service by the end of the year. At this point, they're going to have a really busy last 2 quarters of the year. We're now in July. We've got 5 months left in the year. They've probably got a good 50-60% of that games to deliver, in order to hit that target by the end of the year. And then I think into what they do in 2023 is also going to be that first quarter of 2023 is going to be super important. In terms of what happens next in the evolution of that service, where they go. So I would probably say the next 9 months are super critical in terms of the continued direction that Stadia holds.
Okay, I'm gonna be naughty here because Stadia have a direction at the moment.
Oh no! Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, fair point. I mean, I guess in some ways, I think they do. It's a very flawed direction, and I don't think the gamers or the consumers understand it, and that's one of the things. I think everybody knows that communication and engagement necessarily between what's happening with the service and the people that they want to use it is not necessarily it's not a prime level of communication, is it? It's not brilliant. So I think there is stuff there that they have an element of direction to. It's possibly just not executed in the best way, and it's not communicated in the best way. But that the next 9 months, I think, are pretty key in terms of moves within the rest of the market. What happens, obviously, if the Blizzard thing goes through, obviously we know, not that I'm saying that there was any chance that Stadia were getting games, from kind of Activision Blizzard, but if that happens, Microsoft then go and consolidate that space of being the third biggest gaming company, in the space. If there are other moves that happen throughout the course of the year or into early next year by other services or platforms, all of that has a knock-on effect for for other competitors in the space. And I think that that next 9 months is going to be key to seeing kind of what happens with that.
Yeah. I've just seen Caseball's point, but we'll bring that up now. But we're going to come back to the questions here. About 4 of 5 last year best-selling games were in Stadia. It depends on what metric you're going on and stuff like that, because Valheim was flipping massive, but that won't be on the list because it's PC only, and that's always take these sort of things. It's the highest grossing and stuff like that. But yeah, I take your point there that 4 of the 5 highest rated or the most popular games were on Stadia. We already know one of them won't be coming back in Madden. There's question marks over FIFA. Tomorrow we will find out if NBA is making its way back again. My gut feeling is saying it won't be. It didn't come last year, so I'm not expecting it again this year. Again, we've been saying this for a while. There's an over-reliance on Ubisoft for the AAA sort of games on Stadia, and I think Stadia is basically out from the AAA sort of space outside of Ubisoft and maybe a couple of ones. Because Saints Row, I know there's been the big talk about Saints Row. Again, the last thing I have heard is there's no plans at this moment in time. It could be one of these ones where there was a deal and you're maybe trying to get another deal in place to bring it. It's just, Stadia is just in a mess, and it's disappointing to see.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think that's the thing. I think for a lot of people, it's brought them back to gaming, and we want to see that journey continue. And evolve. Obviously it's done a lot of things right by attracting people and by showcasing technology. There's a lot of good that Stadia has done, and that you can't detract from the good that they've done in that sense. They literally put a marker out there to say this is cloud gaming. This is, and they've managed to pull people back in. They've managed to almost, if you like, they've almost managed to do a proof of concept to the rest of the industry that there's an appetite and people are ready for it. And now everybody else has taken it and gone, okay, let's go with it, let's do it. To a degree. So there's good that's been done there. But yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of things to unfold that remain to be seen as to which direction it's definitely going to head.
Yeah. It's. I just want them to do something, and that's it. Saints Row. it's one of these. It is a reboot of the game, which is really, really cool. But it's not a major AAA title. It's a AAA title, but it's not like oh my godding sort of title.
Yeah.
It's a level sort of. It's not a B title, or it's not even a. It's more than a AA. It's a lower end AAA sort of game.
Yeah.
And everybody is putting their hopes and dreams that this is going to be the savior of Stadia, that Saints Row is coming. At this moment in time, if we're going to be completely frank with all this, is Stadia should not be in this situation where you're crossing your fingers and going, yeah, I hope this is going to be on Stadia. Stadia should be in the position where they're getting basically every single third-party game going. They should be in the position where they're Xbox or PlayStation, because we're 3 years in now. This isn't baby step. I was saying this a year into it. We're now coming into 3 years into it, and you're guessing what games are coming to Stadia. Stadia was brilliant that they brought the storefront there, but that storefront is actually in this around their neck now, because every game they don't get, it's like that game's not come, and that's why if they go for a reboot, I want them to just go pure subscription, because then you're not expecting every single game to drop, and that takes the pressure off that. Because this week, how many games have released this week? And how many last week, next week? There's so many games being dropped, and Stadia's hoping to get 100 games this week, when places are dropping 100 games a bloody month, if not more.
Yep. No, it is. It is a fair point.
Yeah. Do you think FIFA's coming? We shouldn't be having these discussions. We should be saying, "Oh, I can't wait for FIFA to come to Stadia this year. I can't wait till Madden comes. I can't wait till NBA comes." I really enjoyed playing Final Fantasy earlier this year. Oh, Football Manager, I'm going to play some of that. Oh, F1 came there last week. The games I'm mentioning here are games which were on Stadia and have now stopped coming to Stadia, and you're talking big major franchises like the Borderlands F1 didn't come either. These are big, massive who's who in gaming, which Stadia did have and no longer have, and that is warning signs all over the place. And I think Stadia's actually had a decent enough pro week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh dear.
What have you done, Duncan?
What have I done?
I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's a one for Barry to answer. Unstable internet and bandwidth, are there ways to prevent this, or at least reduce it? My thing would be, if you're playing on GFN or Stadia, drop it down to 720p first and foremost. Just drop your requirements down, and if you're on GFN, tweak it to even just 30 FPS. They'll bring down as many barriers as you can and just tweak it. If you're on Stadia, just put it down to 720.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, is kind of whatever you're doing, trying to minimize the stress. I mean, if you've got particularly unstable internet, I mean, I guess it'd be, the follow-up to that would be, when you're talking about unstable, are you talking about the fact that your connection speed is up and down like a yo-yo, or are you talking about the fact that the service itself cuts in and out? There's probably a couple of things there, but if it's a case that your speed fluctuates, then absolutely find a happy medium that's not going to overstress your internet circuit, and that should give you at least some form of stable performance.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just, normal sort of stuff as well. Ethernet it and make sure no one else is streaming when you're wanting to do it, and
Yep.
all that. Let me see. Where was it? Was that one? What games do you suggest to play? I'm assuming that was. I think we sort of answered that one. If you want to test out games, go for the free-to-play games, and that goes on all the different platforms. People keep on forgetting about this as well. You can play free-to-play on xCloud with Fortnite. You can play free-to-play on GFN with Fortnite.
100 games.
I was actually looking at this earlier. Okay. Listen to this. Free to play Fortnite, Genshin, League of Legends, Apex. It's like the who's who of free to play games: Rocket League, Counter Strike, Lost Ark, and Destiny 2, Path of Exile, Dota, Warframe, World of Tanks, Unturned, Team Fortress 2. It's just absolutely mad. Paladins, and this is just a couple of selections: Splitgate, Roller Champions, Dauntless, Naples Story, Rogue Company, Eve Online.
There's a stack. There's an absolute stack.
Yeah, and they are big name sort of ones. And if you want to play games on Stadia, you've got Destiny 2.
Yep.
My head's went blank. There's a section there, and there's all the game trials. The game trials, which is an absolutely brilliant feature on Stadia and also on GFM, where you can actually go in and demo games. I love that Cloud is bringing back the demos of games, and you can just jump in and play them.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Demos in the cloud are hand in hand because you don't have to wait to install it. You can just literally go click, play, and then either you play through the demo and you go, I really like it, I'm going to go and buy it, or no, that's not for me, I'll move along, thank you very much. But it's kind of like, it's so easy, it's so, and it's cloud is the perfect way to do it because it's the most convenient way to try a demo out if you've got the ability to do it or trial it.
Yeah, it's just jump in, jump out the game.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely class. Do we have any news on PlayStation Plus Premium? Nothing as yet. PlayStation Plus games are available. Go claim them because you just don't know what will happen in future. I'm expecting PlayStation to eventually do what Xbox is doing, allowing you to purchase games in the cloud. So go claim your stuff there. Crash Bandicoot 4 is on there, which is pretty good. So yeah. Do you think GFM will introduce further games for EA Play soon? Loads of GFM Play. We're currently referring to a handful of games.
I'll go first on this one. I think the answer is yes. And I know we've probably spoken about this a couple of times. Actually, I think whether it be online or offline, we've spoken about it, and I think they are just drip feeding, into that pool of games that are available on EA Play. I just think they are slowly turning that tap on and ramping it up, and that every time they seem to be coming with more EA games, they are not just dropping one, they tend to be dropping 2 or 3 as they kind of turn up the heat with a little bit more. So I think if they keep going in that fashion, bringing your 2s and 3s, then you're going to see some good games there that will mean that for less than 20 quid a year, you've got some crackers to be able to play on GFN and EA Play.
Yeah, I think they're doing it slowly but surely. Again, what we have learned over the last couple of months, bringing some of these games to the cloud is actually a lot more difficult than people actually realize. It isn't just flicking the switch and away you go. So I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just giving like a sort of example. Say EA want to bring FIFA to GFM. They might have to go and check with FIFA themselves if they want to do it. Then they might have to go check with all the different clubs they've tied up with. There's just so many layers of things where you have to make sure that it's all okay. Like the music in the games, it could be really weird stuff like that. There's actually more on it than you probably know, because I was shocked about some of the stuff what I was told about it. So again, it's very, very, there's many layers towards this. So it's just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I expect more games to drip feed in. Because they have got a stack there which you can bring on. Like the Sims would be a
Sims would be a great one. It'd be superb if they could bring that in.
With all the expansions as well.
Yeah.
This is back to, is Boosteroid the best? How am I going to say? I think Boosteroid is the flavour of the month.
Yeah, I think when you make an announcement like they did with us a couple of weeks back, you turn heads, and understandably so. It's got people in the door. People are, especially with the fact that they're trying not to increase the price too much with the upgrades that they want to do, if at all. So I think there's certainly an element there where you're kind of saying, that they're doing the right things, and that they're making themselves attractive. And they are, we were talking about this earlier, they've tried not to make too much noise. They've kind of gone from Europe outwards, which I know something that Vlad spoke about with you, is the fact that they've gone from that, where every other cloud gaming service is going US out, they're doing it the other way, and they're starting Europe and then going, into the US, and then other regions. So,
yeah, I think people maybe seen our interview and got excited of what they've announced. They went and checked Boosteroid and they went, "Oh my god, it's actually working pretty well." And look at all these games, and then they're saying this one again. There is what's that? The pasta sauce expression. There's no right pasta sauce. It's pasta sauces. You just have to grab which one you want, or the ones you want, and just go across that way.
What a great analogy.
Yes. No, it's awful. But never mind. Atari must be killing on Stadia because everyone is playing Centipede. Okay, Anthony, I'm going to go on one here about Stadia and what they should have done with this game. It's not actually going to be bad. Have you played Centipede as yet?
Not on Stadia, no. I played it like back in the day.
Centipede, when you're playing it on Stadia here, when you're playing the funky edition of it, it's a roguelike, basically, a sort of roguelike. You play it, the power-ups come down differently. Anthony, just think of this.
I know where you're going now.
I'm playing it, and I got my high. I can see the high scores going. I think it's absolutely brilliant. The game has got people really energized about Stadia, and everybody's posting their high scores. How would you feel if you were playing that level and it was an absolutely amazing siege? You got X, Y, and Z. You got all the power ups in the right sort of places, and you go try and beat my score, and you send a link to someone. And they're playing the exact same one as you are. It's not a randomly generated one for everybody. They are playing the same one as you, and they're trying to beat your high score on that level. That was my vision of Stadia, where people could do state shares of that, export that out the exact same level you were playing, and people were going to have to beat that level. For me, that would have been absolutely brilliant. And that's where I wanted Stadia to go with state shares. Instead, we got the half-baked sort of ideas, which didn't really come. And just to add into another one, you actually stream the game. You actually stream that level, and you drop that into the description below. click into that link, away you go, jump in and play it on Stadia. This is where I wanted the cloud to go, and we can see that Xbox and PlayStation are thinking down that lines, and I think they could implement that so well. And that's what I wanted with Stadia. And that game is just one of the games which it just annoys me. I love that people are playing it because I got sucked into the high score in the game, but that would have been just so cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think I need to add anything there because you've killed it.
Yeah, it's just so. It's just so frustrating. Anthony, it's in your comment there. Yeah, it is basically the same level, but if you find a good seed, that's what makes roguelikes so good. If you go look at Slay the Spire, YouTubers, they put in specific seeds because it's absolutely wacky and it breaks the game on occasion, and they find amazing seeds which are just fun to play and for people to watch as well. And that's what's really good at roguelikes. I'm a big roguelike and whatever it's called, because there's just so much in them. Okay, let me see.
Think about this one because it is a good reminder to everybody. Obviously 12th and 13th, so what, 6-7 days time. Make sure that you jump in and claim those Amazon EA games next week on Prime Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. But the centipede thing is what I really like. It's got people playing leaderboards, but just imagine it the step further with the state share, and then you would have millions of different levels where people are getting high scores on each of the different levels because of the seeds being all different. So
yeah,
just like that's where I'm. Competitions on YouTube channels beat my seed score on this. Weekly competition again, so much there. Sorry, let me see. Hi Victor, thanks for joining. Do I want to bet that Saints Row comes to Stadia? What do you want to bet? I am not betting. I am not a betting man. What I can tell you, I spoke to the people themselves. What's the name of THQ Nordic?
Yeah.
They came back with the statement. There is no news about Stadia. They didn't rule it out. They didn't rule it in either. It was one of the normal sort of ones, but it is not coming at this time. That is basically what they said to me. We have seen this language before. Purple Haze. We've seen it with like the one that really annoyed me the most was Football Manager. We've seen it with Football Manager, and Niles Jacobson, the figurehead at Sports Interactive, basically indicated that the port was done. It was all ready to go. They were just waiting on stuff from Stadia, and it never came. And sometimes you just don't know. All signs are there's a real good possibility of it coming, and I hope it does come. But what I have been told by officially, this is not me just, this is officially, it is no plans at this stage.
There we go.
Okay.
Where are we heading next?
Happy's asking, what do we hope that Xbox is working on?
I think some of it they've started to touch on in terms of being able to kind of obviously improve the service in terms of upping the fidelity, lowering latency, potentially upping resolution. They are they are some of the key things that personally I want to see a unified experience. We all know that cloud, you can have a different experience, or the experience varies per user. But what I would really like to see alongside those areas that we know that they're already working on is a unilateral kind of service level, whether you are playing it on an Xbox console, whether you're playing it in a browser, or whether you're in a Windows 11 app, because ultimately, or obviously a mobile device or a tablet. So, that's what I want to see, is the fact that we get that plateau of consistent performance across where you play, but across the games as well.
You went a completely different direction than I was going to go. What I want Xbox to be working on is a single player only good game. Bring them up to the next tier. I don't want another multiplayer game by Xbox, which is pretty good, and I'll not get into this, but what's the better game? Which one has a bigger audience? Forza or GT7 or Gran Turismo?
Gran Turismo all day long.
Yes, I want Forza to make the step up so it's on par with Gran Turismo. I want them also, for me, more importantly for Xbox, they need a single player game which is on the level of God of War or something along them lines.
Yeah.
Their studios are, I get mocked for this all the time, but I think it's pretty apt. They're on the Ubisoft level, or they're good games, but they're not great games. And I want them to make the step up to making great games. And they're just on the level just below. Like Forza Horizon, absolutely fun for the couple of weeks you play it, then you forget about it. Or I do anyway.
Yeah, I'm the same, yeah.
And then the expansion comes out, you play the expansion.
You're back in, yeah.
And out again. I want a consistent level of games from Xbox and onto the next level, because they're there. You just need to move up a bit more.
Yep. No, of course.
Before Happy says anything, I don't think Starfield's it. From what I'm seeing, and I was unconvinced before the reveal, and I'm even more unconvinced after the reveal. I think there's a lot to do there.
Starfield's going to be Marmite.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a Marmite game. It's going to be the game that everybody's talking about, and then people are going to get it, and you're going to have a chunk of people like, no, I hate it, it's not what I was expecting, and then you're going to get the other chunk of people that are like, actually, do you know what, it's everything I was expecting, I love it.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to have mass appeal. And again, I don't want all games to have mass appeal. I want the niche games as well, because niche games actually help choose your platform of choice as well. If you've got an exclusive niche game that has an audience, that brings people and they get sucked into it. FIFA is exclusive to cloud until 2023. There's no FIFA next year.
Nope.
Unless Konami decide to go and sniffle that, because it moves into EA Football Club or something
Yeah, they're moving it to EA Football or whatever the hell they're calling it.
See, this is why I think there's more of a chance of FIFA. I said this before the Madden announcement, why I thought there was more chance of FIFA coming this year to Stadia rather than Madden. It's because they're changing it next year, and it might be a bare bones sort of update to FIFA, because next year's the big change. So that's why I'm slightly more optimistic about FIFA coming to Stadia.
Yeah, I'm still. I was wrong last year because I said I didn't think 22 was coming, and I got that way off because obviously not only did it come, but it came with the next gen features on Stadia. But yeah. You'd want to say, as it stands right now, it kind of feels like contractual commitments being delivered by EA, and there's nothing more.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. What is paying off for cloud gaming today? Is anybody making money yet? That's a good question. Is anybody making money yet? It depends what you mean. Because I think they would I would say Amazon's making money because they are hosting, but is Luna making money? Probably not. Is PlayStation Now making money? I would say there's a fair chance of that making money, since that's the biggest cloud gaming service in the UK, which people don't. Game Pass, I'm not too sure. I would say probably not. Stadia,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a mission Stadia's made any money at this moment in time. Or serious?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so. But then equally, there's probably a fair point to say, going into year 3, would you be? And in fact, actually, maybe going into year 3 with what they're trying to achieve, would you be expecting them seriously to make money right now?
You don't expect to make money in gaming for years upon years upon years upon years upon years. Yeah. And that's why I see there's some comments when Stadia are launching, and they said, I can't believe they're investing 100 million into content, and I'm going or 100 million into Stadia, and I go, if they're only investing 100 million in Stadia, it's going to flop, because that's buttons in gaming.
It is. But I tell you who is making money though from off cloud gaming.
Who?
Developers and publishers. Because when they drop games onto services, we've seen it. Obviously, there's been a multitude of people that have picked FIFA 22 up on Stadia last year. We've seen a number of times where, if you track kind of player numbers for games that come into GFN, some games you're seeing a considerable percentage of uptake in kind of player count of the game, which obviously, part of that's been driven by sales, but part of it is also, it can be tied directly to it being made available onto a cloud service such as GFN. So you can see some correlations there. So obviously, I'd say publishers and developers, if they're getting the cloud service right and the game right, and they're delivering a good port, they're not having to outsource too much in terms of their dev costs and making sure that they're getting it done, then absolutely the devs and publishers are making money, because some of them out there are taking money to bring games to platforms. So ultimately there is a multitude of developers and publishers that will be making money. I think they're the big, aside of the gamers who are able to play some of these games in the cloud that they've not been able to play before, I would probably say developers and publishers are the big winners in terms of paying off in money, because they've got an additional way to be part of a revenue stream and make it. Yeah,
because you're saying that with, I think Square Enix is the perfect example of that, because they're milking it all over the show. They put it in everything. They're getting like several bites of the cherry, and I think that's the sort of world we're living into. It's all going to be about the content, and it's going to be real fun down the line, where we're going to have to subscribe to all these different services, because I've said it before, say it again, it is going to get even more, what's the word I'm looking, fragmented as the weeks, months and years go ahead. We've got Atomic, is that right?
Yeah.
Entering with a big splash on there. We've got Luna, who are hopefully going to be expanding out. And then you're going to have all these other publishers, like Square Enix is teamed up with Black Nut Gaming, with all Square Enix games just going to that service going forward. This is the sort of games we're going to be getting into down the line, and it's going to get very, very messy. And I'm still expecting more of these super mergers to coming down the line. And if I've seen one of the questions about Apple here, if Apple's take on EA or something, it's just going to get awful. It is. Even though I'm a big Apple fan, and yes, I want Apple to take them just to see what will happen, but it's just fragmenting all over the place, and then after the fragment, it'll be all going in together. It's just going to be bad.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's one comment I actually wanted to go back to, because you know what, I really liked the comment, and it came from the cowboy. It came from Anthony. And that is, his new thing is gaming without limits, which means I have an interest in the platforms that I want to play games on instead of having an interest in the games because I want to play the platforms. And you know what? I think that is exactly, it's the stuff that we've been talking about for a little while now, but that is absolutely, if you can get that shift into that mindset, you are going to lead a much happier gaming life. That's not to say it'll be frustration free. I think gamers are greedy, aren't they? We're always going to have frustrations. We always want more. I think further down you were talking about For Honor, and that really grinding your gears because it's been 2 years since that's been coming and it's not turned up. But that sentiment in that comment, I just thought it was, I wanted to look back to it because I thought it was brilliant, because that is exactly the mindset to be tapping into.
Yeah. Again, what we can actually do, we can actually do this quite easily, and I'll be devil's advocate here because I can just turn this around. If you are on just one platform, having them drip feed of games like 1 or 2 a week, is it more of an event, and you might actually play them more because that's your only platform of choice, and it can open up your eyes to gaming down the line and say, I've never played this game, it's only coming to X platform and I'm going to just play it. I know that has happened with a lot of games over the last number of years now, but ultimately it is the games that matter, because some of these games just get completely overlooked when you're with the sheer number on all the different platforms out there. But sometimes it's good to have a look at these other ones because you're only on one platform. But yeah, I was actually thinking about this. We're living in a heaven and a hell at this moment in time. If you play across all the different platforms and you're just not limited to the one, I'm just getting stuck on what game I want to play, because I've just got so many to play, and it's like, oh my god, what do I want to play? And then you go back to your comfort blanket of Slay the Spire because you know you like that, and it's different every time you play it.
Oh dear, shocking
behavior. Let me see. Absolutely, Gantaran, thank you for joining. They should issue fees to the approach to the top 100 every week or something like that. Or again, there's just so much Stadia can do. It just frustrates me because they should 100% be taking advantage of what is going on in the community at the moment with the high scores, because there is a bit of a competition.
Yeah, definitely. There should be a hashtag for it. Like they should be doing so much with it. Definitely.
Okay, we're coming to the end here because I know Barry's busy after this as well. Will PlayStation Plus Premium add better games in the near future? See, I've played all the good ones. Oh, I was going to come. I didn't see the bottom one there. Yes, I'm expecting. I've said this before, and I will say it again. PlayStation is probably building into the day ones. They're waiting until their gas games catch up. When they've got about 3 or 4 gas games going, I think that's when they'll start dropping in the day one game, like Game Pass. They want to get their save feeds and stuff like that, where people are just constantly playing it all year round, and then drop them in. But I'm expecting probably Ratchet and Clank shortly. I would say might even get it this month or maybe next month. I'm expecting Gran Turismo by the end of the year, because there's microtransactions and that all over the shop, and that is a bit more gassy, and as games as a service, so they can make money off that down the line.
I thought that was a wee pun there.
Yeah. Oh, that was a wee pun as well. Just realised that. But yeah. PlayStation, believe it or not, are in a better sort of spot than Xbox at the moment, because they've got a big library that they can actually start dripping into it. And we've seen it with some of the older games. They put trophies into some of the older games, which is pretty cool as well. But I think we're going to see some big games, and they're going to have to start, not have to, they will feel that they're going to have to compete with Game Pass. So if Game Pass drops in Gotham Knights, they might drop in Hogwarts or something along them lines. I'm expecting day one games on the PlayStation Premium soon as well. Not first party, but third party.
Yeah, there's going to be third party deals done, isn't there, to get stuff in?
Yep. Let me see. Oh, so the words, no, that Cowboy, that is actually incorrect. There was actually one last year which I completely forgot the name of. It is being developed, I think it's in a Scandinavian country, but yeah, I did see the Tencent game, but it is pretty cool. We also got the Hideo Kojima game announced by Xbox. We've also seen the Scalar stuff with Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Ubisoft, depending on things, I might do a live stream tomorrow of Skull and Bones, but we will be doing the Ubisoft Forward in September 100%, because we know Ubisoft likes going to all the cloud platforms, so we'll be covering that in September. But I think it's really cool. Tencent is one I would be watching, and I've been setting up for a while. Just like Facebook, and we've seen what I said about Facebook, and we've seen what they've announced over the last couple of weeks with Creator going on there, and they are really pushing that.
I need to catch up with the Tencent one. I've not seen it, so
it was decent. Nothing too spectacular. There's lots of frame drops and stuff on it. You can see it's a work in progress, but it's really good that they're actually doing that.
Yeah.
Again, it's where will this all go?
That's it, isn't it? That is the question.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Happy is asking, PlayStation has some best party single players, but how will they keep up with Amazon, Tencent, Apple, and Microsoft? You answered that with your first part of the sentence. Basically.
It kind of turned into a rhetorical question, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
PlayStation is fine because they have got their library. Just like you never hear that sort of thing put against Nintendo, because Nintendo's on the word. Happy, I'm not accusing you of this, yes I am, but this sort of gets brought up between Xbox and PlayStation. PlayStation don't have the money, blah blah blah. That's sort of a fanboy sort of thing, but PlayStation are in safe hands. They have got the studios. God of War was announced today. That has absolutely taken off. Everybody across the gaming spectrum are excited about that game coming because it is such a major game, and that sells consoles. That will sell cloud subscriptions down the in years to come as well.
It will, and don't forget, if you look solely on a numbers basis, I know Microsoft are on an upward trajectory, but PlayStation, in terms of their subscriber base, are technically at double the subscriber count of where Xbox are.
Yeah.
And that people forget that. People just think PlayStation Plus is... Obviously, I know the new tiers are here now, but I think people sort of almost take PS Plus for granted for just being a bit of a bog standard subpar service. But when you look at the subscriber base, you've got people like Microsoft who are going, we've got 15 million subscribers, we've got 20 million subscribers, we've got 25 million subscribers, and that's still half of the way there to where PlayStation are.
Yeah, it's everybody is every single one of the companies is different, and PlayStation have got it. They've been really, really smart here. Xbox. I said this at the time. You can go back and watch when I said it. Bethesda, I didn't think was a good buy because I think Bethesda was a bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Flashy. Activision. I'm now getting severe. I'm really thinking that's not going to go through with so many eyeballs starting to go on it now, with us adding extra layers to go through. PlayStation, I think, have just been smart with their acquisitions with Bungie, and then Insomniac Games.
They've picked up lots of good little buys.
Yeah, and Haven. I am hearing people are not going. This isn't me trolling. I'm just playing this completely straight. From what I'm hearing out from Haven, that there is something special there, and I think with PlayStation buying them without the game actually being released or is still in production, it's just telling you something there as well. I think from what I'm hearing, what's coming out from Haven is going to be pretty decent, and it could be quite telling of what could have been, but there was been that little thing. But yeah, that's it's that is what I have heard.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jade's got a reputation, hasn't she? So I think people will be excited to see what she's been working on. And whenever that time comes to kind of start lifting the lid on more of that, I think people are really going to see and understand what was truly being worked on and what could have been.
Yeah. And your mama knows I don't play on PC, I play on the PlayStation mostly. I have played it on the PC. Yeah, and I have to admit it's not great, but on the PlayStation, away you go, and I'm pretty happy because I was actually shocked. Yesterday or the day before, Kelly just sat down and played Zombie Army on PlayStation Now, or whatever you want to call it now, because you can be bothered waiting for it to download. And she was and it looked absolutely spot on. It's again, I think PlayStation Now is good. I'm not saying great. It's not as bad as people think, but it's not out there pushing things. Of course. It's in the playable sort of standard.
Yeah, it is.
Is there anything else?
I think we're good. I think I think we've covered it all.
Cool. Yep, thank you all for watching. Just to say, if you want to support us further, you can become a member. We have been giving out free games and such like to our members, and there's going to be more later on this at the end of this month, and maybe something else as well.
Possibly.
possibly. And it's great to have you all here, and we do this every week this time, and we go until most of the questions have been answered.
Yeah, pretty much. We pretty much, it is very much a case of you guys, everybody in chat sets the agenda for the evening. We normally kick it off with a few bits of nonsense on our part, and then by the time we get really going, the chat's in full flow, everybody's talking with each other, you guys have got questions flying in, and before we know it, an hour and 40 minutes have gone by, and it's one of our highlights for the week.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you all again soon.
See you later.